Okay, here we go. Hi everyone. Thanks for taking your time and coming to this session, and for the organizers for giving the giving the opportunity to be a part of the SQA Days. I'm always glad to be here and talk about some boring technical stuff. Today in this room, in this time, we're going to talk a bit of technical stuff, more technical than motivational. Yesterday in the lobby, we were talking with some of the participants, and they were asking me question, like which kind of the talks in the conferences do you like more, like motivational or the technical? There is no concrete answer for me in this question. I love motivational talks because we need a motivation, and I love technical talks because you need to know what and how to do, and the combination of these two, you can do great work. So in this case, I'm pretty sure that you are pretty motivated from the other talk. We had some opportunity to motivate ourselves, and now we can do some technical stuff to about the automation, how to automate the mobile stuff. So my name is Sargis. I'm Director of Quality Assurance at Pixart. More than 10 years in this industry, mostly concentrated in automation, and right now trying to combine the automation and the leading a big team. Today we're going to talk about Appium. How many of you doing a mobile automation? So there is one statistics why you need to switch to mobile, because everything is going to the mobile. And recently, Facebook also changed the main stress of the development and the product to the mobile. So the future is going like more mobile than a web. Today we'll talk about how we can use the Docker and how to run the Docker Appium, how we will set up it in the Mac machine. I mean, the servers will not be Mac, but usually we use Mac, and it's a bit different how you can set up it locally in the testing environment. The following we'll go and we'll talk about how we can connect the container to the real device to be able to run the automation tests in the real device. We'll talk about how we can make it easier to set up with the Docker Compose. And the following we'll go talk about how we can run the emulators inside the Docker. And then we'll talk about how to stimulate SMS testing, so when there is a need to receive. And of course, we need to connect that machines to the Selenium hub to be able later to scale our runs. And then we'll run our automated test inside the Docker on the emulator also. Just one thing, if you have a question even on the spot, just raise your hand. I will stop, I will answer your question, and we'll continue. If you think that you can keep your question till the end, feel free to ask the questions in the end. So why we need this approach? Yeah. This is very quick to set up environment. It will speed up your test running. You can do your setup automatically, and you can run both on the real devices and on the emulators. I hate this. This is one of the specific parameters, which is about the mobile automation. So if you pay attention, there is in the bigger part there is like browser testing. Maybe there is like some integration testing with the API endpoints, checking stuff. And the second level, we should keep our concentration on running our automation test in the emulator, and then running the test in a device is real, and only in the end, like the small part is like real interactions, like production checks or something like that. So no one is like super identical to these pyramids. But this is something that we put aim, vision, where we are going to, and then just trying to do something similar to this. So if we try to do something similar to this, Today we will talk about this middle part, which is one of the important part. If we are push back the tests to run on the emulators, that will save a lot of time and money and the devices. I know that the money we are keeping for the company, but still saving money of the company will like make a bigger opportunity for us. Yes. So what is the Appium? Almost everyone of you know it's a powerful framework which helps to run a mobile application test. It works with the hybrid application. It works with the same API you can use with the different platforms, and it works on iOS, Android, and Windows, and it's actually using WebDriver protocol. So if you heard about Selenium, so it's the same. They are using the same. So basically, this is the architecture of the Appium. Here we have a test runner, which is with the HTTP protocol. It connects to the Appium and ADB. You know what is ADB? Android Development Bridge. So, and then it connects to the device. So with this, this is like very high level. So with this architecture, this is like basic understanding of how Appium works. So what actually this solution is about? It's just doing this. So we are Dockerizing the middle part of it, running this part inside the Docker container. And the Docker container in the end, it contains Appium and ADB. So let's get started with setup on a macOS, because in the beginning when we need to set up everything in our local machine. And it's super easy if you are using Ubuntu, and it's a bit complicated with the Mac and the Windows. This approach that I'm showing, it will work on a Mac and the Windows, but for the Ubuntu, you need to skip several steps. So first of all, we need to use Docker machine. Docker machine is coming with the Docker. And most probably, if you have installed Docker in your machine, you also have a Docker machine and also Docker Compose. With the Docker machine, we are creating VirtualBox we have VM in the VirtualBox, which will be Linux, and then running Docker containers inside the VirtualBox. So basically, what we need, we just check. I will show the code and the results, and later when you go through the slide, you will be able to duplicate the same step that I'm talking about right now. So here, I'm just checking that I have a Docker machine, and then we just create Docker machine in the VirtualBox with the name. Yep. And this will be the results. So it will create, it will download the Docker machine, it will create it, and then you will have this. Yeah, you have a Docker machine in your VirtualBox. And right now we need to stop it, because we need to turn on the USB. Because by default, when you create the new machine, the USB ports are disabled. We need to stop it to enable the USB port, so we will be able to connect our real device to the machine, and machine it will connect to the VirtualBox. We stop it, and then we just modify the settings. It says that we want to turn on the USB. To be able to turn on the USB, you need to install the extension pack, and there is the information, so you can find it and install it. Basically, you just run it command, and that's all. And if you want to do it from UI, not from the command line, you just go to the ports, USB, and just enable it. It's exactly the same as we're doing with the command. Yeah. And then we again starting the machine. Now that we have a Docker, machine which has the enabled port. Yep. So the next step, we connect the phone to the physical machine, and then from the settings again, we need to add the device to the Docker machine. So with this one, we are giving the visibility to the connected device. And then we need to kill the ADB server. And you know the SSH? When you SSH to the server. So in this situation, we have separated machine in the virtual box, and we are just SSH to that machine. And here we are calling ADB devices. You know what is doing the ADB devices? Yep. It's showing all the devices connected to the machine. So when you do the ADB devices, you will see that there is an attached device. Actually, this device is physically connected to your machine. But with this connection, we connect it from inside the Docker machine to the device connected to the real machine. Is it clear? It's a bit complicated, but yeah. And when you do the ADB devices, you will see in your phone that someone wants to connect to your phone, and you just allow it. So we'll be able to see what's happening. And now it's time for the Appium. The interesting part, if you are doing on Ubuntu, for example, you need to start from this point. The previous one, doing inside the Docker machine, it's more for the macOS and the Windows, if engine is not Linux. So when we are running the command, we'll see that when you do the Docker PS, which is showing how many which containers are running on your host, you will see that we right now have this container Appium, which is up to date and running. And it's coming under the fun part. This was the boring part, actually, to configure everything, to come to the point, to be able to run the test. So to run the test, actually, what we need to give the accessibility to the APK file. Yes. With this command, we are doing the copy of the file and sending it to the Docker container. Because Appium need to have accessibility to your application, and to have the accessibility, we need to put that file inside the Docker container. So this is what this is actually doing. This is saying just copy this file, like you're giving the location, and saying to the container and in the following folder. So with this command, we are sending the file to the container. And then we are ready to run our tests. In the capabilities, we just need to we should need to say where is the APK file. We know it is in the Docker container in this location, and we just pointing that the app is there. And then this is the recording when I'm running the tests. Yeah, this is from the local machine. It's connecting to the Docker machine, and inside there is an Appium, and then the tests are running on a real device. All these test codes are in the GitHub. It's public, so you can, there is an APK file if you want to just test and find out how it works. You can just go to my GitHub account and you will find all these examples there. Yep. Yeah, so we have right now one Docker machine. We have inside the Appium, and we have a connected real device, yes? But what if we want to run it parallel using Selenium? Do you know what is Selenium Grid? Most of you, yes? Yeah. If we want to connect this Appium host to the Selenium Grid later to be able to run them on a parallel, like scale your run, you have like 1,000 tests. You need to just say that connect to the grid through. When we are running the Appium container, we just continuing by giving the parameters. Yes. Connect to the grid through, we are giving the Appium host, Appium port, Selenium host, and the Selenium port. And it automatically connects this container, this Appium host, to the grid. Basically, the command will be like bigger, and you will just say, this is the Appium host, this is the port, and the etc. In the end, I will show you also how it looks like when you connect it to the Selenium grid. Yeah. Do you know what is this Docker Compose? Yeah. Docker Compose is like tool for the like small tool for the Docker, And instead of having these big commands, basically you are creating one YAML file, and you create all your parameters and variables here, and then you just say docker compose up. It will create all the containers that you need. So in this case, I create these Docker files, Docker compose files also in the GitHub account, like repository, so you can find all of them there also. So here what I'm saying just create one Selenium hub, yes, and then create one Appium container, and here this depends on Selenium hub, which means the Selenium hub should be up before this one, and we are mounting them the directories, and then I'm saying this is connect to the grid true, and then giving the host. The host is the name of the Selenium hub. Yeah, and then when I do like Docker compose up, it creates all the infrastructure I need. Yep. So I just started from the manual setuping just to be able to explain how it works. But in the end, everyone coming up with the one command and like fast setup process. Yeah. And I added some small tricks also between, like in the middle of the talk, so it will be like more interesting. There is a way of connecting your device via Wi-Fi. Have you ever tried it? Instead of the USB, you are just doing through the Wi-Fi. There is one thing only here. You need to have a stable Wi-Fi connection. If it's not, you will have some issues. But it's really fun. You connect via Wi-Fi. You have the phone out like far from your machine, but it's connected to the ADB, so you can run your automated test even your phone is somewhere in a server room. You can just connect there and run from your desk. So it's super easy. You connect it with the USB to the machine. Oops. And then calling the command adb TCP/IP 555. So ADB is also always listening to the 555 port. So and then after the first command, you just disconnect it from the machine, and then saying ADB connect and then IP of your mobile device. And then when you see ADB devices, you see that your device through the Wi-Fi is connected to your host. So basically, it looks like this. You do this. ADB TCP/IP 555, it's starting the server, and then you just connect to the IP, and then ADB devices, and then you see your device, it's here. It's making it like easy, but I'm using this only when there is like lack of the battery. I'm putting on a charge, and then just connecting through the Wi-Fi and working with it. It's somewhere far on the charging, because usually from the USB it's charging slowly than on a real socket. Yep. Okay. So this is the running tests through the Wi-Fi. I connected it through the Wi-Fi. It's exactly the same. You're running your test, and this device, I mean, it's not visible actually, it is or not, but this was recorded yesterday. I just did everything and then running. So this is connected, the real device connecting through the Wi-Fi, and it's running the test as usual. So, okay, so next one actually coming my favorite part. So you remember the pyramid that I showed you, that we need to push down all the tests as much as possible. Because the emulators are cheaper and they're fast, and it's better to run the big amount of the tests on the emulators and then some specific test on a real device, and then some amount of the test manual with the real interpretation. So right now we'll try to again combine Docker solution, like Docker emulator solution, which means we will like run the code, and there will be emulators waiting in a 10 seconds. Have you ever tried to use that cloud solutions like Sauce Lab, Browser Stack? Yeah. There is like real devices and the emulators. Have you ever think about how they actually set up, how the infrastructure is it? Like you open the browser, in the browser there is the emulator, and you start test inside the browser very fast if you need to check something. So we'll try to duplicate the same infrastructure, but inside your local machine. So you can also use for small part of the manual testing, but the solution I'm showing is mostly for automation. So why we need to use emulators again? It supports website like mobile websites automation. You can it supports Appium, Espresso, Robotium frameworks. You can run some monkey tests, REST tests, and also I will show you how to do SMS testing. So because like how you can like create a situation where you have an SMS. There is a link under it which links you to the open source project in the GitHub for the Android Docker. So if you need more information, more detail, you can go through the link and find out it. So the advantages, so there is no VNC. In the browser, you will see your device. Yeah? There is the ability, again, to connect to the grid. There is screen, like you can connect your real device and see the same screen inside the web browser. So you can treat with emulators with the real devices equally. There is a possibility to record the run of the test, and in the end, you can have a video of running your test. I never know why people need this, but a lot of people say that they need. I need only screenshot, and it's always enough for me. And it's integrating also with the Genymotion cloud, with the Source Lab browser stack. So with this solution, you can have 8 type of the devices, emulators of the 8 type of the devices. So the Nexus phones usually support it, and there are some Samsungs also. So this is the base that you can create the emulators from this type of the devices. So how we can do that? Yeah, the only thing you need some Linux server to run these ones. Like there is no possibility to create it on your MacBook, but there is a possibility to set up everything on a Windows. So everything I done, these examples that you will see, it was run on an Ubuntu server. You just run this command. Let's go a bit deep and understand what we're actually doing. The 6080 port mounting, this is the VNC port. So we are mounting, and then we are giving access to the VNC, so we'll be able to see the device inside the browser. 5554, it's the ADB. With the 5555, there is the Android ports. And we are requesting to run Samsung Galaxy S6 and with the name Android container. And this is the end of its Docker container. Okay, so what's happening when we run the command? It says that it's run, and then we see emulator inside the browser. And it's ready for the testing. When you need to run the real device, I mean, you can connect your real device and run the same the same solution and see your real device screen mirroring on the VNC. This is also the solution. Then you have a local mobile farm, and you are running your tests against your local farm, and your farm is somewhere in the server room, and you want to see what's actually happening on the device screen. So with this solution, you can just connect to your device screen, and without going to the server room, you can just control your phone, like remotely. And this is the command from your, if you want to control your emulator from your local machine, you just connect to that container's ADB. When you want to do it, we mounted the port so it's accessible for us. We just do ADB, giving the host, where the Docker host where the container is running, and then port, and it will connect to the emulator ADB. So you will be able to control your emulator from your local machine. Okay, and here is the next session that when you want to simulate the SMS. There are a lot of applications that they are integrated with the SMS services, and you need sometimes to simulate the SMS pop-upping and then check something. With this solution, with the Docker emulator, super easy to do it. there's these 4 steps. The first one, we just finding out the token of the emulator, and then with the telnet we are connecting to that host. We are authenticating with the token that we already have, and then we are sending the SMS. Yep. So let's see how it looks like actually. This is the emulator, and here we have the SSH to the Docker machine. When we do the telnet, it's in the local host, so I'm just, instead of IP, I'm sending localhost, and we are authenticating with the authentication code. Okay, so we are authenticated, so we can send the message now. It's just, we are SMS send from which number you want to send, and the text of the SMS. Yep. I was a bit like in the future. And then we are receiving the message, and then you can continue your tests. This is more, you know, when you send the authentication code via SMS, you can simulate this scenario and automate also this part. When there's a SMS sent and you need the code to take from the SMS and put on your application. Yep. Let's go a bit further. So we already talked a bit about Selenium Hub. So I want to also show you how you can connect your emulator with the Appium to the Selenium Hub. So in the end, as a conclusion of this solution, we'll have a situation where we have everything together, Selenium Hub, Appium, and the emulator, everything together, and you have the URL, and you're just running your test against this URL, and everything is organized for you. So for them who is not familiar with the Selenium Hub, it's like smart proxy server, which is running the test and choosing which machine to choose, which one is free, which one is busy. And it was initially designed for browser testing, like web application testing. But right now you can connect browsers and also like Android devices to the hub. So basically, when we want to locally run Selenium Hub, we need this command, which is like just mounting 4444 port to the containers port and then running the hub. And when it's run, when you go to localhost with the port, you will see this one. So this means that the Selenium Hub is running. So now we have these 4 solutions. Yeah, till now we talked about the Appium, Docker, emulator, and the Selenium grid. And we'll try to combine this solution and see the Docker file, how it looks like and how we run it. In a Docker file, you already saw before. Here we have Selenium Hub, we have the Appium server, and we have the emulator. All the parameters we are collecting in one file. And how we run this file? Up. When we do Docker compose up, it's by order how we create. The Selenium Hub should be ready. Then after that, we can do the Appium server and then emulator. And done. Everything is there. When you configure everything together, so it takes several seconds actually to spin up all this environment with the help of the Docker. So this will be the hub, and you will see here that we have one machine here. If you need more to scale your run, in the Docker Compose, you just add one more section and say, I need a Nexus 4, Nexus 5, Nexus 6, and like Samsung phones and stuff, and you will see all of them located here. And then when you go to the VNC, you will see the phone is ready, the Appium server is ready. And here you will see that it's always pinging to the Selenium Hub to find out, is it up or no? So if it's down, the Selenium Hub will be down. You will see also in this log. And finally, when we are just pointing your test to the Selenium Hub URL and running the test, it will basically look like this. So this is everything is happening in an Ubuntu server that I configured, and just I'm running from my local machine against that Ubuntu server. So in my local machine, I have only code written in a Java, and all the infrastructure living in the Ubuntu. So this is the same solution when there is a source lab or browser stack. All the infrastructure lives in their servers. You just have the link, and from your computer, you just have the Java code with the tests, and you just pointing to the URL, and it's running on a source lab or browser stack or your own created infrastructure. So basically, this is all that I wanted to show you, and we have 10 minutes, yes, for the questions. As you didn't ask the questions, I was thinking that maybe in the end to keep the questions. If you have, if I will not able to answer all of your questions, just ping me. Till the end of the day, I will be around. We can talk also here in the conference. Yep. Yes, we have the question there.
What about iOS, iPhone, Android?
That's another story. That's the totally different, isolated story from everything. Unfortunately, there is no possibility to run iOS inside the Docker. So, which means that this solution will not work for the iOS, unfortunately.
Hello.
Yep.
Thanks for the presentation, and I'm asking why are you running your solution on Docker machine if your operation system, host operation system is Ubuntu? You don't need it.
Yeah, Docker machines, I don't need
Docker machine.
Yeah, Docker machine, in the beginning, I also told that the solution that I'm showing with the Docker machine is just for the beginning to test everything in your local machine and then duplicate it there, because a lot of people will not have a Ubuntu. And before like requesting Ubuntu machine and making some expenses, they need to try it. Is it work for them or no? With the local solution, if it works, then request and spend money on the servers and bring the Ubuntu server to the office and do the same on the Ubuntu. That was a development process. It wasn't like production stuff.
And I also have a couple of small questions.
Okay.
For example, like, what is the size of your images, Docker images?
They are different. The ones that has emulator, they're around 1 gigabyte, and the local emulators also around, like they are starting from 600, 800 megabytes till the 1.5 gigabyte. But the Appium server is they are smaller. The other
Don't
ones.
you think that this is a little bit too heavy?
In any case, if you up your emulators on your local, like in a physical machine just without Docker, you will spend more time to spin it up, and you will use all exactly the same space in the hard drive. So basically, we are not like extending the usage of the volume.
And do you really use ADB with Wi-Fi on your?
Sometimes
project?
I do, but it's not constantly. I mean, it's just one thing that you need to have constant Wi-Fi. And if you, in our office, the problem that we don't have a LAN connection, like everything is on a Wi-Fi. So sometimes you really need it, because, I mean, sometimes there is no charged. I can just 3 days, I can connect it, leave it charged and connect with the ADB. But it's not like super stable solution. It's up to you use or not.
As I thought. And the last question is, we have pretty similar solution with ADB, with Docker, but we have several problems with connection on the real devices with the connection to the host. How do you handle problems with the connection?
Like the connection of device to the host?
To the host.
So sometimes you are losing the connection. That's the issue?
If something goes wrong, for example, Appium server sometimes working not very stable.
Yeah. We also like facing that kind of the issues now. Sometimes we lose the connection with the phone, but with this solution, if you configure it like well with the Docker containers, you can just have a script. If it's down, just restart the Docker container, and it will on the spot create the new one. Mm-hmm. This is the fun part of the Dockerizing everything. So if it's down, you just restart it, and it takes 10 seconds. Mm-hmm. So instead of going and reconnecting your phone and stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. There is a question. You can ask question also in Russian, guys.
Могу по-русски. Спасибо за презентацию. На самом деле мне просто интересно про стабильность, ну, то есть насколько часто сталкиваетесь с тем, что что-то из этой системы отваливается, и как много контейнеров одновременно запускаете на машине, сколько, ну, обычно, скажем так, как это у вас работает?
Actually, it's like with the Dockerizing, it's making more stable, like even with the Selenium stuff. And like a lot of production deployments are now happening with the Docker containers, which is more stable than without it. And how many of them, it depends how powerful your machines. So if you have like Amazon servers, which is like pretty powerful, you can go for like 10 of them on the spot. So this depends on the power of your machine, how it can handle. Here we have a question.
Yeah. Спасибо за доклад. У меня такой вопрос. Вы можете более подробно рассказать о вашем подходе параллельных тестов? Вы делаете это через TestNG или через Cucumber?
TestNG.
TestNG. Просто когда мы делали это через Cucumber, у нас возникла проблема при подключении, ну, при запуске тестов через Selenium Grid. Все тесты уходили на один Appium сервер запущенный. Каким образом вы делаете это? Вы создаете кастомный драйвер или у вас все это реально происходит автоматически? Распределение вот по устройствам.
For the running on a different servers, you need to also generate like a second port, not only Appium port. So to redirect the calls to another server. But basically, most of the things are done if you are using a TestNG. I super don't like the Cucumber stuff, and I never want to deal with it because it makes a headache for me. It makes like 2 huge extra levels to maintain, to write the code. But I am a developer. I am like programmer in the Java language, but it doesn't mean that I'm like super good in writing super sentences in the English. So for me, it's better to read the code instead of reading the sentence. So I always avoid going to the BDD. So why I always use like a pure programming language and creating the pure tests, and it's easy to maintain, easy to debug, and also easy to solve this kind of the issues. Like TestNG has a lot of good solutions for the parallelizing runs, creating different suites. Even you can do like hard parallelizing to several suites, and every suite can send to the specific Appium server. So like not a scalable, but like just hard parallelizing.
Спасибо.
И последний вопрос, и мы заканчиваем. Все вопросы можете потом еще обсудить с докладчиком дополнительно. Да, прям кратко.
Здравствуйте, спасибо. Вопрос такой, возможно, как бы отвечали на него, что-то упустил из-за перевода. Что насчет CI и как агрегируются отчеты по разным докерам, по контейнерам, то есть какой-то отдельный отчет для истории там, или чтобы понятнее было, как бы посмотреть картину в целом?
For the reporting part, I guess like most of you know the Allure reporting, and it's super easy to like. We are using TestNG, so it's super easy to integrate with Allure reporting. It generates the JSON files, And the only thing when you want to combine everything, and the Allure allows you just to put all the files in one folder and then from there call the Allure command, and it will merge all the information for you. I mean, it's super easy, and Allure allowing us to merge it. And for the report portal, if in a case you use the report portal, it's again easy because it's a different server. You're just pointing to the same launcher, and it sends the information to the same launcher.
Нет, про CI я имел в виду, что запуск какой-то по команде, там по коммиту запускаются автотесты или там по каким-то время там отдельное, то есть чтобы это не было чисто ручной запуск, там конфигурация, чтобы где-то удаленно запускалось.
Yeah, the structure that we have right now, we still need to manual run, but we are designing the process that it could run on a specific time, and also if there is a merge request, it will run automatically. But this is already Jenkins, and Jenkins has that features. We just need to use the features. We don't need to invent something new.
Спасибо.
Спасибо за вопросы. Давайте попробуем выбрать теперь лучший вопрос.
So we have the T-shirt. I would give it to you. Welcome.
Спасибо вам огромное, ребят.